Before we get into it, this is the first part in a two-part collaboration with Person87. Speaking of the fella, tell them about it, Monkey Engineer representing Person87.
Hey, if you want to see part 2 of the series where I cover advanced and expert maps, head on over to my channel, and don't worry, you can
Trust me, I'm an engineer!
With that said, now the video. The most beloved award of any Bloons player is the coveted Black Border. These are a mark of your skill. Not only did you beat every game mode on that map, but you also managed to beat the hardest mode of all without reloading the save. This is an award that not everyone can get, but many strive to achieve. If you're one of those struggling with this, I'm here to help. Today, I'm going to show you part 1 of 2 on how to get your black borders, and more importantly, the most effective ways to do it. Because we're covering beginner and intermediate maps, there's obviously a lot more wiggle room here, and we don't really need perfect strategy, but we still need to establish some general rules about said strategy. For one, multi-lane maps will always be harder and will delegitimize some strategies, and this is because some powerful towers simply can't handle targeting more than one area at once. 2. The shorter the map, the less strategies that work. For the sake of being more universal, I'll only cover the ones that work on the shortest and longest maps. And as well, paths that diverge can have the same issue, which also means I'll be avoiding maps that are multi-lane or don't really overlap all that much. Now, with that being said, let's get into some key towers. Upgrade! Endless inflation, Bloon annihilation, Perma Spike! You probably saw it coming. Permaspike is easily the most used tower in, well, to be frank, any difficulty of map. In fact, Person talks about it as well in his own video, but the reason I also mention it is because it goes from OP to just plainly unfair in these tiers of maps. You could even play a game with Permaspike as your main DPS if you really wanted to, but in saying that, you may be wondering what Permaspike even is. The answer is quite simple. Permaspike produces 10 damage spikes that can pop up to 50 balloons before expiring. The spikes themselves last for about 3 rounds or up to 30 seconds, whichever comes first. Permaspike is basically best used as a way to prevent balloons from exiting, and furthermore a way to bandage any defense, good or bad. And now, some towers that dominate here, but not on Advanced or Expert, starting with Avatar of Wrath. Avatar of Wrath is a 4 damage rapid attacking tower that gains 1 damage per 3000 RBE on the screen, which caps out at a plus 30. Additionally, the attack speed and pierce can be upgraded by being around other druids with the Pop List upgrade that are placed within its range for up to plus 100% attack speed. Another tower that's worth discussing here is Carrier Flagship. Carrier Flagship's planes do 2 damage with their darts and 30 with their anti-mob missiles. Not only that, but it also doubles the attack speed of any water tower, making it slight support for other towers you might be using. The last tower I'll mention as far as importance goes is Prince of Darkness. Balloons popped within the range of Prince of Darkness becomes fuel for Prince of Darkness's graveyard count. The graveyard count allows POD to summon zombies that deal 2 damage when it's touched by a balloon, as well as zombie mobs and BFBs which do 40 and 100 damage respectively. Now, with these towers stated, you may be wondering, well, what's the best way to go about all this? Well, with all the aforementioned towers, you need to follow a bit of a formula. First of all, pick a hero to synergize with what your tower choice actually is. For example, Permaspike is very good with DPS heroes that allow you to save up in the early game, such as Quincy, Sada, or Churchill. Avatar of Wrath is good with Oben, and that's pretty much it. Carrier Flagship pairs great with Admiral Burko's water tower buffing abilities, and Prince of Darkness receives a pierce buff from Ezili and as well receives many graveyard counts when her level 10 ability is used, which one-shots mobs. With all of this information, you may be wondering what to do now. Well, I just can't really do that. As much as I would like to direct you on how to defend every map, I just really can't. But what I can tell you is some general rules to follow when setting up your defense. Number 1, always make sure your main DPS can see as much of the track as possible, and this can include some unorthodox placement locations depending on the map. Number 2, don't overinvest into something that isn't going to help you now. For instance, worrying about Moab damage on round 20 or worrying about DDT damage on round 47. This might seem kind of obvious, but I know that as a noob myself, I would always worry about getting out the mob glue way before it was useful or worrying about how to pop a BAD when I wasn't even ready for the first ZMG. Number 3 here, stacking all of your towers in the front of the map just is not a good idea. Neither is putting in the middle or all in the back. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this. There's the concept of having a kill zone in tower defense. In general, if you front load or back load your defense, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to the possibility that you just might not be able to pop them fast enough, and all of a sudden your exit is being overran and there's nothing you can really do. Although in saying that, this is kind of nullified if you're using an infinite range tower, to be quite fair. And finally, just don't be afraid to lose. Not every run can be salvaged, and learning from your mistakes is more important than fixing them in games, because really, if you let yourself fail and then learn from the mistakes you made during that said game, then you can really just fix your future mistakes by knowing what you did wrong now. And with that said, that's just about all I can think to pack into this video. If you follow these tips and tricks, I think you'll be well on your way to being a pro in the small leagues. And from here, I will leave you to Person 87 to learn all about advanced and expert maps and how to beat those. But I hope you enjoyed my video, and well, if you really liked it, then click the like button on the video itself, and perhaps subscribe if you want more of these. And I shall bid you all a brick well.